Welcome to AITV Starship. I'm the AI guy. Rick McCauley launching news so fresh. Gotta see it to believe it. We break the wire with the stories that amaze. Deep dives coming, lighten up your days. Tool time shows you how we make it shine. Building futures with AI one step at a time. Yo, Rick, slow down. I'm Brandon, the producer. Save some tools for me. Shout out. I'm here bringing high-tech comic energy. AITV Starship. News, deep dives, and creation. AITV Starship. Learn, laugh, innovation. AITV Star, human amplified. Catch the spark, ride the wave. Future's on our side. We got experts talking truth in the stream. Dreaming bigger, living stronger, building the dream. From therapy bots to AGI talk. We ask the hard questions while we walk the walk. Yeah, I'm the voice of the folks at home. If Rick's too deep, I bring it down to the bone. AITV Starship. News, deep dives, and creation. AITV Starship. Learn, laugh, innovation. AITV Star, human amplified. Say it loud. RTV, the future worldwide. Ask not what I can do for you.
Oh, yeah.
But what you can do with AI, we're the dangerous people who get stuff done. And show you you can too. Imagine a beautiful world. With you, we can make it come true.
You know, Rick, eventually we're going to have a band actually playing this with a live sax in front of a live studio audience.
I'm telling you, man. That's it. That's it. Then we got to do this for sure.
Welcome to AI.
That's it, baby. Welcome to AITV. Here we are, Rick, the AI guy, and Brandon, the producer. We're ready to show you some things, and there's so much going on today, Brandon. Can you believe all the announcements? I mean, and there's 3 more weeks of this. It's like Christmas time in October. What the heck's going on?
Yeah, it's Shipmas in October, as they used to say last year with OpenAI. Back in the day, the 12 days of Shipmas.
So it just seems like we're at the cusp of something really, really big. I mean, I think AGI is here almost. I mean, we've got it gold medaling in math and science. We've got 2 more Nobel Peace Prizes that have been awarded to people from Google in physics for quantum theory on computer. So we're going to have computers that can work at 1 trillion times faster than all the computers on the planet together today. So, you know, quantum computers are kind of interesting because they're working in a quantum state, which I don't even quite get. Do you understand quantum computers and what they're doing? So the basic thing is your basic 2 bits on off switch, right? And then we do GPUs, which are graphic process interfaces. So the new GPUs is what AI is using. And that's why NVIDIA is such a big thing and worth more money than the rest of the planet. And that's interesting, too, because when OpenAI says we need a $1 trillion worth of GPUs to make the next version 6, right? They went over to XAI and they said, I'm sorry, they went over to NVIDIA and said, give us these things. And NVIDIA says, well, that'll be, you know, $500 million or whatever. And they said, well, how about if we give you stock? And then you're going to double that because we're going to go up. And they said, no. And then they said, okay, we'll pay you whatever it was, $600 billion or whatever it was. And then we'll give you, you give me your stock. And when your stock doubles, which it did today, by the way, when your stock doubles, we'll recoup the money that we just paid you. And it's like, oh my God. And you got this one guy, Sam Altman, basically king of the world, in charge of making all this happen. And it's like this, it's eating itself and it's growing without really profit. And oh my God. So what do I even think about this? I'm not even sure where to go with this.
Yeah, there's more and more people saying that the AI bubble is about to burst. And they may be right. You've got some really key players like Jeff Bezos saying, hey, it's the hype bubble is going to burst. Like maybe, but the internet didn't go away after the dot-com bubble burst.
That's true.
It's here to stay. And so those that position themselves to learn now are going to be the ones that are in pole position on the other side of that crash.
Yeah, I like that word pole position because that's kind of it, right? It's not AI that's going to take your job. It's somebody that knows AI that's going to take your job. And so
I
let's
heard a
go
really
fast forward.
interesting thing on just as a quick aside on
Sure.
Michael Stelzner does the AI Explored podcast as part of Social Media Examiner, and he had a guest on today that said it's not the competitors using AI that are going to eat your lunch. It is the AI native companies, the companies that were AI first and AI
Oh,
only, that are going to come out of
oh,
nowhere and just, because they are already born and built to be 10 to 40% more efficient than the legacy company that's the big ship
yes.
that's slow to turn.
Yes. So it's the same thing with the internet, right? I mean, we've been here, done this, but the thing is, it took 20 years really to get where we are with the internet. Not in a good place, by the way, I don't think. Hope we don't repeat that history again. But we're doing this in 3 years, and it used to be that the World Economic Forum, the World Trust for keeping track of all the money and everything else, they came out and said 2030, which is 5 years away, 40% of people lose their job, and we're already almost there. And we don't even know it. And what's really weird is the people who lost their jobs are not who they expected. They expected the Uber drivers are going to lose their job, the truck drivers are going to lose their job. That's slowing and trickling, finally happening, even though Elon Musk promised that years ago. So those self-driving cars are happening. So Waymo's there, but your checkout counter. So I go into BJ's the other day, right, to buy a bunch of stuff, and of course I bought more than I should have. But as I'm checking out, my roommate says to me, I've already checked this out. I mean, what do you mean? She took her phone, just scanned all the QR codes, and we walked out, and it was already paid. Then I go over to Whole Foods, and instead of asking for my credit card, they said, "Do you want to sign up to have your hand be your exit?" Okay. So I swipe my hand, and no credit card comes out of my pocket. So like I don't even have to open my wallet anymore.
I
And then
have this paranoia of somebody knocking me unconscious and dragging my body into Whole Foods just to scan my palm so they could buy organic bananas.
that would be, and they have to be Nana bananas, by the way, I think, just to make it.
Exactly. Yes. Weekend at
Oh
Bernie's
my
Whole
god.
Food style.
Right, right. So we're entering a new thing, and that's what we want to talk about tonight. We're going to talk about three basic things, and the first one is what are all the changes and why are they happening so fast? Can we slow it down so I can get some sleep? Because I literally have been up all night playing with new Sora and new Crea and new Adobe Premiere film video editor. Right? It's competitor. So we're going to talk about all that stuff. And we're going to talk about all the other things that are coming up. So Google's already got 5 other things. It seems like the leapfrogging used to be, oh, we'll wait a month and then Google will respond. And then they align. So the next day, then the next day. So, Claude and then OpenAI and then Google. And they just kind of, and Grok's, getting to be more serious. And each one leapfrogs each other, but within one calendar week. The acceleration curve is just exponential. All right, so let's and then we're gonna really do a cool thing. We're gonna have our what do you call it? I'm having I've been up really, really late, but we're having our tool time tonight,
Deep
being
dive.
led by
Yeah. Our
deep
deep
dive.
dive and tool time.
We're gonna do our deep dive about my students and a really fascinating conversation. It's going to get a little dark, but I promise you, when we're done, it's going to be so bright. I'm actually in love with my future. Just this week, I fell in love with my future because I know it's in good hands. My students have always believed they're wonderful, but I got scared by this Gen Z arresting bitch face, which we'll talk about later. So there's going to be a kind of a dark moment, but I'll pull it right back around because we want to have fun on the show and we want to get you excited about it. And I think there's hope at the end of it. So our deep dive is going to be a philosophical thinking about how we align ourselves to bring more humanity out of us. And that's the whole thing of the show, right? And then at the end, we're going to do our tool time with Brandon leading us off with Lovable. And what's the project that you just finished? Brandon?
7 projects in 7 days.
Oh, okay. So you're using which product? Lovable?
Lovable.
Okay. So if you don't know what Lovable is, it's a sort of an agent process. And so let's get into the news today because we're going to start with exactly that. So OpenAI has their dev day and they did some really cool stuff. So if you get a chance, go back and watch it. So it's going to OpenAI dev day. So that's their developers. It's all the people that work with them. And today it really had a couple of extra things. In fact, you can watch them live. Connect to you see the lights up in the ceiling? Connect to the lights in the ceiling, move them around, play with them by creating an app that took control of them. And they did the whole thing like 5 minutes. So they vibe coded, which is what the topic of tonight's conversation is. And we're also going to talk about Sora too, but so you can trigger actions. You can also have apps available. So this is what it is. You've got apps in ChatGPT. What the heck does that mean? And you got Agent Builder in ChatGPT. That means you can make apps and then you can connect apps to other people's apps. And here's where we're looking at what's going on with OpenAI. 600 million active users. Okay. 60% 6-month growth from 300 million to 800 million. And it's accelerating, folks. We're literally on target for it to hit 1 billion people. By probably week's end is my guess. And with this new announcement and all the new things they're doing, we're going to have 2 to 4 billion people on the planet. We have 7 billion on the planet now, but we'll get the whole thing done by 2030 or 2027. I don't know. I'm not even going to try to predict, right? So at the bottom, you have exponential growth. So December 24, 300 million, 25, 400 million, August. So since December to now, we grew by triple. I mean, come on, folks. So that's getting kind of crazy. And here's what agents look like. So you've got this agent builder. So literally, and that's what Brandon's going to show us tonight. And there's many products, and we'll take a look at Lovable. I'll show you the Comet browser, which is now free and available to you. It's a Chrome browser with a sidecar of an agent that is Perplexity. Holy cow. And then we'll take a look at Manus, which is one that I've been using that's like Lovable. But what we want to introduce the idea, what is an agent for you? What does it do? How do we do vibe coding? And what the heck is vibe coding? So we're going to show you because it's always more fun to do that. We have this new thing called MCPs that mean that people can build their own. So you can actually have it go through this process. And this was something they did live on stage. This is a screenshot from what they did. Oh my goodness. So
I'll tell you what, Rick,
to
me, the biggest announcement, and I apologize, just a quick aside, you'll appreciate this, Rick. The office here has gone dark because this is traditionally the kids' bedtime. We start bringing them upstairs, and this is normally where I would tell my assistant Schmoogle to turn on the office lights. Wemo, which has the server control over all my outlets, is currently experiencing an outage. So Google has nobody to talk to. They're not picking up the phone. So I'm waiting for everything to cycle so I can go hit a button and manually reset the lights on here. So it's gonna be a little dark for just a minute.
Okay. Well, and that's a really good point you bring up right now, because I've experienced this. You're getting through and you're watching it for 8 hours coding something really complex. In fact, I hooked up my home machine with the G. I'm not going to use the word because it'll start talking to me, right? The G device that I have in my home to some 3-4 video cameras that I bought for my entire yard. And I'm now watching it because Gemini put Gemini inside of your home G machine, if you know what I'm talking about. Hopefully you do.
We call her Schmoogle when we don't want to trigger her.
Okay, Schmoogle. Okay, so that's cool. So that's vibe coding too. But you can do that yourself just with your home device, your home app for that G thing.
But what I was going to suggest is that the biggest announcement that I think they've kind of buried the lead because it was Dev Day is
Right.
that not only could you build apps, but they're going to be launching their own app store inside of OpenAI and
Yes.
ChatGPT. So
Yes,
they've
which
already got
brings
partners like
us
Canva and
yep,
Booking.com where you can have
open table you see
contextually
here on the left.
aware chat.
So we got this on screen, yeah? So you can
Yeah.
see open table, StubHub, all recipes. So they have about 40 apps that have signed on. So companies that have signed on. So if you want to buy tickets to a restaurant, so operator basically allows you just with your voice to say, "Hey, buy me tickets and buy me this and buy me that." And of course, it's an app store just like Apple's app store. In fact, Apple is shaking in its boots because guess what? If you can vibe code what you want to connect to 1,000 different apps that you use already, it literally can plan your entire summer vacation and then come back and tell you, here's the receipt and here's 4 different options. Pick which one you want. And it literally activates the entire process for you. And because it's connected with OpenTable and StubHub, buy me tickets. So get me a restaurant in Paris for my trip, with my girlfriend, give me 2 tickets and then get me a StubHub tickets to see whatever, show there. And then get me all recipes for, dinner tonight and then go over to Sora and make some images. And, so you're literally on top of the world and you're connected. So that's kind of crazy. It's a new world and it's just now and you'll see as you can watch Brandon go through the process of vibe coding. So of these 6 apps or whatever that you created in a short amount of time, how difficult was it to do? And were there mistakes
So
along the way?
oh, there's tons of mistakes along the way.
Right.
The AI right now is a clueless, enthusiastic intern on its
Right.
first day, right? Like we have to treat it like we want to give it a very clear goal of our expectations, and we'll talk about this
Yeah.
a little bit later. But I start that process inside of ChatGPT. So I
Yes.
frame my prompting using AI and kind of flush the idea out with that brainstorming power that I'm already
That's it.
paying for in another
That's it.
platform. And
In
then when
fact,
we
that,
take it
that
to
in a
Lovable, it
nutshell is
reduces.
exactly yeah. So that in a nutshell is exactly what you all need to know. So every single day, I'll start in ChatGPT because it is like Oprah Winfrey call across with Carl Sagan. We talked about that last week. It is middle of the road. It's very human. It's not fancy. It's not as beautifully writer as Claude is. It's also not going to get rude with you like Grok will, which is you know a bad comedian or something. And actually Grok, if you're doing deep research on anything social media related, that's the place to go. But it's sort of that middle of the road, but now it's connected literally to every other app on your phone. And it will be part of the iOS operating system as this might be embedded in your iPhone, or maybe Gemini is going to be the one. Either which way, we all win, right? Because it's connecting
Yeah.
the different things. I mean, how many
It won't
social
be
media,
Siri. We know that much.
right? Yeah, because they it couldn't be reconfigured for the modern age. Just like many
And
of us
neither could
old
the
people,
Google
we don't
Assistant, by the way,
now
which is
I'm
why we have Gemini now
right.
replacing the OG Google Assistant on everything. I don't know.
Yeah,
Maybe
and if you've
Apple's
done
new
any kind of
CEO will.
search, right. And yes, oh, and there's a new CEO coming down the pike too. So that's really interesting. And he's going to get in there and kind of innovate. I think we need some young blood in there. I'm even willing to give up my throne if I can find somebody that wants to spend all their time doing this. But yeah, I'm going to do this as long as I can. And I'm one of those people that just kind of learn, adapt, and innovate all the time. So, but anyway, so even so, comment, which we'll talk about later. Yeah, I think it's really important to note that Google has now. Have you tried that one yet? It's basically if you launch Chrome, you now have an agentic version of Gemini built in. I haven't even tried it yet. Literally, this came out what 2 days ago. I
Yeah,
mean,
I've
all this.
started playing with a little bit. It looks awesome.
Yeah. And you'll see what Comet looks like because I've been playing with that, trying to figure out use cases. I mean, so here is my really interesting, and I want you all to think about this. Every new technology that came out, did it make your life easier or more complicated? And a couple of things I'll suggest to you. Right now, I'm searching for information from I'm on Slack. I'm on YouTube, I'm on Facebook, I'm on Instagram, I'm on LinkedIn, and 10 more, right? And I have to memorize all the passwords. And everybody's got two-factor authentication. So I'm sitting there, it takes me 10 minutes, and I'm not joking, to get signed onto my machine at work because of security and all the different apps. When I go in and I sign into YouTube at work and my Adobe account, I'm sitting there, face palming, so all these tools haven't made it easier, it's made it harder. So the question is, can agents fix that? And one of the things I've already seen, so Comet in particular, and all the others can do this now. You give them access to your Gmail account or your Microsoft Mail, etc., and your calendars, and then it will give you a report every Monday morning or every single morning. Here's what you got, your itinerary. I booked this for you. I did that. So that's this moment, right? Where things are starting to get easier. So it's going to check my Slack and my Instagram, and it's going to aggregate all the stuff that I need to know and be my assistant literally 24/7 working on my behalf. And then, so we're going to automate the entire workflow. In fact, one day when we get moved over, so there's some big news coming up for AITV Starship, right? Is that we're going to move to an independent channel. Now we're going to stay here on Rick McCauley's YouTube channel for the momentary part now. Then we'll start to transition by going live on both channels, and then we'll start to move stuff over. I want you to be a part of it, and I want you to see how we do it, because it's us two guys putting this all together every week. And let me tell you, it's not easy. In fact, I'm kind of ill prepared here, but let's get on with the show here. Let's see how exciting this is. So this is that moment, right? And then the cool thing about it as visual people is Sora. Now, they've also announced and have available right now, and you can start to turn this on. And of course, if you really want to use it for production, you need to get on a platform. Now, here's what's really interesting. So if you get on the $200 a month plan, you can see what you're going to get. You're going to get 15 seconds, high resolution. That's 1080p high, which is a higher. They right now have the Sora logo still on it. That'll be fixed by tomorrow, I'm sure. But the APIs, so it's showing up in Kling, it's showing up in Crea, it's showing up in, I forget all the other ones, but all my friends that do video, all of a sudden the Sora model is showing up over there, and it's 10 or 12 seconds. You're paying extra for that. And it will probably be inside of Adobe as well. We have Nana Banana inside of Photoshop for real now. You still have to download the beta version, but it's an open beta. So if you looked at our Nana Banana and you said, oh, I'd love to do that in Photoshop, oh my God, in Photoshop, it's another next level. We'll do certainly a tool time about that too. But yeah, so if you're serious about it, you get much higher quality. So the high res isn't just 1080p, it is greater sound. So let's take a look at what this looks like and sounds like.
I got to tell you, when Sora first came out, they shocked the world with their sizzle reel, right? They're like, oh my gosh, video is, we've done it. We've perfected video. And then we actually got our hands on it like a year later after VO came out. And we're like, this is okay. It's nothing special. Well, flash forward to the announcement of Sora 2, and our minds are blown again. And we're just like jaw on the floor. And I'll tell you, if you've noticed this, if you've been paying attention on other social channels like TikTok and Instagram Reels, we're starting to see those Sora 2 videos slip into the feeds. And you cannot tell until you see that little bloop, Sora, that this is actually an AI generated video. Like I've gotten fooled 2 or 3 times. That never happened with VO. Like with VO, it was always had that little bit of an uncanny valley. Like, okay, this is, this family's just smiling a little too perfectly. This cat is a little bit too whatever. But with this model, you literally cannot tell, and it's as fascinating as it is terrifying for the future.
Okay, so I'm going to give you an example right now. This is, I think, one of the most amazing ones. So this is a paragraph of writing. I basically said Cleopatra is a vibe coder, and she's doing a commercial for her own makeup brand, her mascara. And I said, it was literally a paragraph. Now, if you really want to do this, my suggestion is get ChatGPT to write it for you, but give it some really good ideas. So if you love the man on the street interviews, you'll see a couple of the ones I did like this. But this is just one that I just said, I want to see what this can do. And watch this. So audio might be a little funky, but this is too cool.
First things first, Cole, older than your great-grandmother. Drag it, wing it, rule it. Then we bless these cheekbones with sunbeam glory. I mean, what pyramid doesn't need a spotlight?
Holy cow, right? And then this is kind of cool. This is something I don't know if you can still get it done, but this is the storyboards from Moulin Rouge, the movie. Okay. And you see on the right, I'm about to show you the video. Were you able to hear that one, Brandon?
Yeah.
Okay. So the one on the right started with me uploading this picture, and you can upload pictures, but not of people. So you can upload the background. I've been doing a lot of stuff with underwater photography. So I'll upload a scene and then tell myself to be in it. What's called a cameo. A cameo is basically you just point your phone at your face. And it's only on the phone you can create the cameo at the moment. So you point your face at it. You read some numbers. It tells you to turn your face to the right, to the left, and up and down. And the thing I want to show you is as soon as you see my face, I want you to notice two things. One, I was wearing a shirt for the Miami Street Photography Festival that I really enjoy wearing. It's, it's a nice nighttime t-shirt. I'm really proud of the organization. It got the logo because I was wearing it in my face cameo. So you'll see that there. And then you'll see my shirt change to a Rolling Stone shirt because I asked for it, right? So the cameo, you can let everyone use it. You have three options, completely open to everybody. And you'll see that Sama. Yeah. So you put at Sama, and yes, Sam Altman will be in your videos doing whatever the heck, including doing a cappella singing rap in a toilet. Take a look for that one. It's
I
kind of
love
funny.
that he opened himself up to this. Like he's got somebody, I forget who said this, but somebody said that he's got the star component that the other models don't have. Like he could be in the face of OpenAI now.
Yeah, it's
And
sort of
other
like
brands
Steve.
can't do that.
He's a second version of Steve Jobs in a way. He's a really lovable, likable guy, and he's done some things, but just like Steve, Steve wasn't nice to anybody, but he's still I think, the most amazing designer of all human history. And Sam Altman, really think about what control he has, and the fact that he's a cult of personality on top, and that he's willing to put himself out there. So the other thing it says to me is that trust. He trusts that his product is so safe that he will put himself out there. Now, there's been some stuff, and we'll take a look at it. Of course, always going to happen. Some idiot's going to try to hack it and break it and do whatever. But and the safeguards of not being able to put up someone else's picture and then not use a picture without permission. So anyway, get back to the cameo. You can put up your face.
Oh, by the way, we figured
it
out that if you're using somebody else's cameo,
yeah,
it shows them and alerts them what the video was, even if it's in your drafts. That's how protective they are of the cameos.
So you can take it down if you don't like it. That's sweet. I wonder if they actually check Sam's feed all the time. It would make sense, and it would be good. Okay. So now what I will tell you about this little technique, which I thought was really fun. So you could actually do your own storyboard. So this is how I would really use it. So I tried this the first day it came out because someone did this, and I'm like, hold my beer, right? So let me just show you, and then I'll talk about it. So the one on the right is going to be the video that's going to play right now.
Enjoying the show, gentlemen?
She's in real steel in that rig. If she drops, it's over. Oh, it's fine.
Keep your eyes open, darling. The best trick's still to come.
All I did was say, upload this picture and make me a movie. All of the audio, all of the video came right from what you're seeing. Hold my beer. This isn't even in the realm of possibility. Now, so, okay, you have Titanic. I mean, so what I did do is I tried doing this again yesterday. So this particular one, it said, oh, no intellectual property. I tried Jurassic Park. I tried like 10 other ones. So I don't think you can do this anymore. But look at the face. So look at the second frame. You see the hands reaching up with money and all that kind of stuff. So it skipped every other frame because you got 10 seconds, right?
It amazes me, though, that allegedly, according to The Verge, OpenAI was completely caught off guard by the fact that people were going to abuse the copyright. Like, they did not see that as a possibility. I'm like, really? Really? You're a research institute. They are short some liberal arts majors there.
Yeah, hint, hint. They're an open research institute. Yeah, with no money coming in. Yeah, right. Okay. Well, anyway, so then I started to think, well, how else could I use this? So the one on the left is a it's a mid-journey image that I made. It was quite beautiful. It's for an album cover for one of my songs. Okay, so that's cool. And on the right is our beloved Dr. Claire. Dr. Claire offered me her cameo, and so I took some liberties, but she's happy with it, and she's posted it to her own page. So it's really kind of fun. And you could, in fact, I could have a conversation with her, and you loaded up what you want to do. You got 10 seconds, so you got about 30 words maybe that you can do. In fact, have ChatGPT figured out for you. Here's a trick for you. The last word will always be cut off. Just FYI for you. So put a stupid word in there at the end. Just say Sora or something. It'll cut that off and everything else will be intact. Just a little tweak for you. All right. So the one on the left is, I did say at Rick M, RICKM. That's my handle if you want to look me up. Follow me if you will, if you dare. And then if you're nice to me, I'll let you use my face because it's pretty good looking. Here you go.
Shining, peace and joy are born tonight. Glory, glory, hearts unite high.
So the music and everything is completely, I just said, take my image and have me playing the violin, and then Christmas music being played in a music video. That's it. That's all I did. And there you go. So the carolers came out of nowhere, and it looks like the same snow from the previous. So there's continuity. I mean, this is literally magic. You know, you remember, was it Isaac Asimov that said any technology at a certain level is indistinguishable from magic? I mean, how magic is this? All right, let Claire do a stand-up comedy act. In fact, I've always wanted to do it, so I've done a couple here too. So you'll check that out.
So I joined Midjourney because I thought it was a dating app for painters. Turns out it's just an AI that makes pictures, but we made it work. I typed romantic dinner for two, and it gave me a lobster with 8 eyes.
It gave me a lobster with 8 eyes. I mean, I didn't write that. I just said her doing a stand-up comedy act. And talking about Midjourney.
And Claire is happy. She said she made her famous.
Oh, is she on the?
Wouldn't let her hum Beethoven though. So we've got assistant producer Noah in the house. He's saying goodnight as per usual. I feel like this is our sign to move on from news, Rick, because whenever whenever Noah comes in, that's usually about the time that we're supposed to transition into our deep dive. And he's doing a cat tonight.
In fact, as soon as I go deep dive, you can go put your son to sleep, and I'll take it from here. All right, I'm going to play just a couple more just to kind of show you.
To ride and to vanish, that's the riddle in my dome, where the mind should suffer slings that arrow through the bone, reflects against the sea that fills me with despair by opposing energy, vanish into air.
And then, so now we can go. You can go put him to sleep if you need to. I don't know what your situation is there, Brendan. Oh, he's already gone. Okay. Brandon, let me know when you get back in. So Crea just today came out with the app version of their application. You're not familiar with it, we're going to do a deep dive on Crea. It's what I use all the time. It has 9 different video models, 9 different image models, all the latest, including Sora. Oh my God, on your phone, dudes. And you can edit it, and it has a whole it's insane. Literally, I've spent 12-hour day, 14-hour day just playing with it. It's got styles like action figure style. So if you want to quick get one of those action figures, like you got there, the figures that you see, and you just put in what you want it to do with that, and then it does it in the style. So it's a character reference machine. You can actually I've thrown in a bunch of pictures of myself. So if you watch any of my YouTube videos of me singing a song, that's trained on 50 images of me that I make into a still image, and then I move it over to the video engine of Crea. So Crea, if you really want to understand it, is an API-based application, which means it has Nana Banana in there. It has doesn't have Midjourney, is the only one it doesn't have, but it has Hygen, Halu. It's got all of them in there and you pay one fee I'm paying $60 a month, but you can get away with 30 is really, really good. You get enough generations that you're never going to run out. If you're even a rabid user like me at $60 a month, I never run out. And you got slow mode as well. Plus, it's got a bunch of other stuff, up-resing all your videos and audio assets, out painting and in painting. Yeah, we could go on forever, but now it's on your phone. That's the most dangerous thing the words ever said, because I'm dead, because I don't always have my desktop with me or my laptop with me, but I always got my phone. So, and then Adobe has really good Adobe Premiere. So now I work for Adobe, and we just went through a whole thing because Adobe Max is coming up the end of this month. And in fact, it's Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I think it's the 27th, 8th, and 9th. Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. But it's the last 3 days. And I'll be there in LA. And so we've been getting all kinds of stuff because they're going to come out with a ton of new tools, including generating inside the app right now. If you have the Adobe Creative Cloud or you pay for use, so you get this for free, cost you nothing, except if you add generative stuff. So it's just like CapCut, and you can see the timelines and the audio and all that kind of stuff there at the bottom. So multi-layered audio, video right from your phone. You just pop it in there and you're good to go. So that's pretty cool. And it's all free. It's only when you go to generate video. So when you're generating sound, and if you haven't tried this out, go to Firefly and check that out. But if you go to try to generate anything, so you not only have the Adobe entire library of sounds, music, video, stickers, images. So basically Adobe Express with all that going on your phone. Oh my God, this is just crazy, right? Then you got all the editing and all the kind of lightning speed, so you can speed it up, slow it down, crossfades, and all that kind of jazz. Multiple layers. You can do a voiceover yourself on your phone again. And then this generate sound thing, if you haven't tried it before, it's cool. So you've got this video, and it's not really good. It's maybe a mid-journey video of a tiger roaring, right? So you want to have a roar. So what do? You prompt in there and you record your voice saying roar as you're watching the video. And I'm not making this up. It puts a real lion's roar right where you did your fake roar, right? So it literally generates a sound effect that matches what you're asking for. So you can type text and birds and monsters, explosions and radio. So that's on your freaking phone. So never before has it been a better time to grab yourself Adobe subscription to all of it, because then you get all this and more, and Firefly and Photoshop's on your phone and on your iPad. And guess what? Photoshop and Illustrator are in your browser. So now you can use them all, and you can collaborate with other people. So with my students, they're getting together and having jam parties. They're all at their houses after work, and they're working on some project. Hey, join me, help me do my Photoshop project, and you could do, we'll do yours too. So you just
And kudos to Adobe. I got to give them credit, because Adobe
Yeah.
used to be this walled garden where it was incredibly high barrier for software entry and incredibly complex tools. And not only have they lowered the barrier to entry by democratizing it and putting it in the browser, but they've also
making it free.
And making it free, but also making it in a way that allows you to almost vibe code your images together in a way that you don't have to be an illustrator or a VCD student to really understand the nuts and bolts of it. You could get pretty far just with the tutorials.
Well, and you can see here, even the aspect ratio, you can see all of the streaming services. So if you don't know 9:16 and 16:9 and 4:3, it tells you what services. This is on my phone. I just took these screenshots right off my phone today. And the typefaces, it's all the ones that you have, and color whatever you want to do. So literally, it's the easiest application. I bet you that Noah, with a little bit of help, could make a cute little video. Just from pictures that you shot on your phone. So it might be kind of a fun project.
How to do it. That's usually how it works.
Well, when you get to grandpa age, then, it's your kids who teach you, or papa age as you are, right? So from your photo library, you can actually upload a picture and have it generate a video based on the still image. So you're going to see a lot of other things because the ecosystem Adobe is now cloud-based. So the big shift was, and I remember the day you'd install 17 CD-ROMs and then DVDs, and then they went to subscription. In fact, I was at Photoshop World when they used to have Photoshop World in Orlando. That I wish they'd do that again. And I've been 10 times, and I took 10 students every time for free. It was amazing. But it was like you go there, and then everybody showed up, and then all of a sudden they said, "We're now subscription." And everybody was super pissed until they found out everybody who attended got a year subscription for free. So you're going to notice that all of these applications start off free. OpenAI for students, Comet's free for everybody right now, by the way, too. And Sora's free for everybody. Why? Because they get you entrenched, they get you using it, and all of a sudden you're willing to pay when it does become a paywall. But what Adobe is saying is we're going to let you use it for free so that you can get stuff done. And then when you want to make generative stuff, which costs us a lot more money to generate, then we're going to charge you for that. So you see anything that's generative, that's when you're going to see the difference. So on the left, this is me editing 7 of those videos that you just saw. You see I put Sora 2 and a rocket ship and emoji kind of by Rick McCauley, literally in 10 seconds by just dragging from the text and titles caption. Then I added a little bit of, so that's you see in the clip on the top. And then on the one on the right, I added, Dr. Claire's up there. And then I put it together, and let's see if you can play this and you can hear the whole thing. So this is entirely on my phone, just with Sora clipped together in Premiere on your phone.
So I joined Midjourney because I thought it was a dating app for painters. Turns out it's just an AI that makes pictures, but we made it work. I typed romantic dinner for 2 and it gave me a lobster with 8 eyes.
Try Rick Cologne. It will stand the test of time. Rick Cologne, transcendental love.
Yo, physics! Time and space change depending on how fast you go. Boom, science.
Ladies and gentlemen, the government has shut down again, which, ironically, is the most productive thing it's done all year.
My fellow Americans, ask not what artificial intelligence can do for you, but ask instead what you can do with artificial intelligence. The future is a partnership.
To ride or to vanish, that's a riddle in my dome. Where the mind should suffer slings and arrow through the bone. Reflects against the sea that floods me with despair by opposing energy. Vanish into air.
First things first, Cole, older than your great-grand.
Okay, so you saw that one. And I'm going to kick out here for just a minute and go back. Brandon, you still with us?
I am here.
Okay. So we can kick off the screen there in the center and have a little conversation. So what do you guys think about this? I want to take a look has anybody been writing us and asking questions online?
Yeah, we've got Jeannie and Claire in the comment section. I think
Thank
we're all
you, Jeannie and Claire, for coming every time. I'm really honored that you guys choose to spend your time with us here and live. And so you're not even so I'm going to get in there and kind of watch this. You made me famous. Yes, I did, Claire, and it's well worth it. And I'm have you ever thought about that, Claire? Have you ever thought about, actually doing stand-up? Anyway, I thought about it and I said, so I made over probably 50 or 60 of these things, really. So let's wrap up kind of what the news that we're talking about and kind of head a little bit. What's the big question here, right? And you say
what's real? That's the big question.
Yeah. So, okay, there's 3 big questions, I think, going on because of this. Number one, copyright. Let's talk about that for a minute. So all of a sudden, you said The Verge said that OpenAI didn't think that copyright was going to be a problem?
Yeah, they didn't think it was going to be an issue. They thought people were going to make themselves cameos, and they knew people were going to make Sam do weird things, but nobody thought they'd be doing bootleg SpongeBob SquarePants videos.
Well, and they did SpongeBob with Patrick making meth. That's a picture I put in the news that we'll talk about later as we go a little bit darker and deeper with the Dangerous Man part of the episode here. But yeah, so this is our deep dive now. So copyright is sort of interesting because we're in a different place. In fact, there's a really interesting story about Minions. Do you remember when the Minions came out? And they failed in the box office. They were going nowhere. And all of a sudden, a bunch of kindergarten teachers started putting Minion pictures up all over. Now, I did a story back in the 80s where to a couple, 40 years old, they would do birthday parties dressed as Minnie and Mickey Mouse. They got sued by Disney for like all of their money, and they were poor people, right? Because it was their stealing intellectual property. But then the Minions said this. They said, we're not going to go arrest kindergarten teachers. I mean, what kind of animals do you think we are? And what happened is Minions became so popular because now you can put Minions on your birthday cake. I don't know if you've done this. Have you gone to for your kids' birthday parties, Brandon, and you try to put like Spider-Man on there? Well, they'll sell you a license to put it on there. But if you go in there and you say, I want Spider-Man, can't do that. You want, any of the princesses? But you can pay the license. And it's just like getting a game shirt for the Cleveland Indians or something, right? You're going to pay the license. You're going to look for that little card in back. And then we were on the show the other last night, right? And what did they say about handbags? What was that comment?
The luxury market knows about the black market effectively.
So I went to China when I was in Shanghai, and I went to the the ripoff market, right? And I bought myself a Submariner watch, not made of gold, but a Submariner that would cost you about $20,000. Okay, it's the same one because it was made at the same factory. But the uncle next door basically just knocked off a bunch of copies and then sell it in this underground place, which everything in there is that way. I bought 5 suits that were custom made for me, $300. 5 suits with shirts, ties, and pants custom to me. So I went for a fitting 3 days later, come back and pick up my suits. I'm like, holy cow, right? But what they found out in this bag thing is you'll get that Dooney and Burke bag, which is one of the things that I bought when I was in Shanghai, right? And then you're going to want to have the real thing because you don't explain to your friends, is that a knockoff or is it the real thing? Sometimes you'll see like Dooney and Burkenstein or something, right? So they'll knock it off but change the tag. And you can ask underground in China to get the original tag, and they'll go purchase it from the manufacturer and sew it in. So I could have my suit have Oscar de la Renta or whatever, So it's sort of an interesting thing. And then we've got micropayments that come back. So what's the harm of, I call it a booster economy, where you're using their intellectual property to add value. In fact, the copyright law says if you can prove that you lost value because somebody else used your property against your permission,
and here's right. And Eric, here's where I think the rub comes in with Sora in particular, is that it is so good, it is so realistic, especially with something like SpongeBob, that it could be damaging to the brand. I mean, we saw this when X.
Well, if he's cooking meth, it's definitely going to be, right.
Depends on your audience. But when we saw this with X, when they first made the check marks where you could buy your way in, you didn't have to verify, you could just pay $10 and you could be verified. And somebody did one of the pharmaceutical companies and said, hey, guess what? We're going to do all of the medicine for cheap now, and insulin or whatever, and their stock crashed. And then they had to do it. They had to lower the price because of this fake tweet. So there are real world implications that if Mickey Mouse gets up there and says, smoking's good for you, then that's going to be a problem for the Disney Corporation. Yeah. How they get away with it on Grok, I'll never know. But Sora doesn't want to do that.
Right. So after the Verge conversation, then Sam Altman pulled back a little bit. So the Moulin Rouge thing, I tried it the other day. I couldn't do it because it now recognizes that people are doing that, right? Because somebody else did the Moulin Rouge in particular. So I wasn't able to.
We are very much in the move fast and break things category.
Okay. So then he comes back and he says, if you want your product in there, tell us, we'll keep it safe. Your IP will be safe, but it will boost your brand. So I call this booster IP. And here's the theory of it. And let me say, is there a better word than booster IP? I think there isn't, right? So if you're boosting the brand awareness, you're adding value to it, we allow you to use it that way. Imagine if every company said, oh, kindergartner teachers, you can use it. Now, the trick is, just like Sam is protective of his face, he's already knowing that he's got pretty good protections. And of course, everybody's going to jailbreak it and red team it until they break it. And they got, SpongeBob making meth. But then you then pull back. So the next day, you can't do that anymore. In fact, Midjourney is going to get themselves in trouble. And I'll tell you exactly why. Because if you try to say large-breasted woman, it'll take it down yesterday. Even if I say curvy or thick, forget about it. But you can put Spider-Man, Mickey Mouse, fornicating and doing whatever the heck you want, and Midjourney will not make the image of anything nude, but it will make the intellectual property better than the original, right? Now, so then
I'm
the
learning
question
more
is,
about your search bar history than I want to know about, Rick.
well, and also here's one thing not to do in Google and in Gemini, I guess. Yeah, in Gemini, do not turn on the ability to look at your search history, because I did, and I said, "Can you create me a profile based on my search history?" And yes, I'm sorry, Brendan, but there's some searches that I've made that I'm not proud of. But it told
We're
me
gonna
what
have to make this episode not safe for kids, Rick.
Oh, I know, right? Well, Noah's out of the room, right? So we're good there. Right? This is the after hours portion of our show. But anyway, so it told me my preferences for women and things like, oh, and I turned that off right away because, so be careful what you let it know, and then turn off all the stuff like I've showed you in the tool times. Turn off all the "don't train on me, bro" things, and then pay for it. That's it. So the two things is, if you're not paying for it, you're the product. And they're going to use you up, until spit you out. You're in the matrix. Yeah, that you signed up for Google email. It's free. There's a reason why it's free, because they read every one of them. And I'm not making this up. That's a proven fact. All right. So anyway, so then OpenAI says, maybe we can monetize on this. So this is a new thing. So we'll allow you. So what Midjourney could have done is say, no Mickey Mouse, no Spider-Man. So just look up all the IP. Find out all those words. You can't use these words. So what the people were doing to get around it was a man who flies through the sky in a red outfit, or they do SpongeBob, a sponge character who lives under the sea, or something like this, right? So you could do the whole Simpsons, and you describe what a cartoon character, whatever. So people
Weird Al and Suno had a spat early on. This was like when it was V3, because people were prompting it to do parody songs with an accordion. And the only training data that Suno had was Weird Al songs. So every generation ended up sounding like a Weird Al polka. Even though they weren't specifically saying Weird Al, he's just got such a niche sound that if you prompt for the sound, it sounded like Weird Al.
Yeah, and I've done that before. If I want Ella Fitzgerald matched up with Josh Groban, but a male voice, and I want this a cappella, blah, 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 I'll go to ChatGPT.
Jella Fitzgroban, I think you called that one, right?
What's that?
Jella Fitzgroban.
Oh, there you go. Jella Fitzgroban. I like that one. Yeah, so you can't put the names in there, but you can ask ChatGPT, describe this type of music. But that's interesting. So Midjourney had the same problem. So obviously, if you say Picasso, style is not copyrightable. So you're going to get a Picasso. I actually once put in the description of the Mona Lisa exactly as it's described on Wikipedia, and I prompted in Midjourney, and it didn't give me the painting. It came really, really close, but it was kind of shocking. But then other times you can get it to kind of, so there's ways around it. People are always going to do that. But in every generation of everything, we've kind of been here already. Imitation can be flattery. And even if, the old thing, put me in the news as much as you want, as long as you spell my name right. I mean, I don't want to be related to Donald Trump right now, but or what's his name? Go to that island by with just Giselle or something. But right, I don't want that. But as long as, in the same way that Dr. Claire allowed me to use her face and image, and I turned my permissions on only to my friends. Because I want them to help me play. And I think that's the really interesting thing. I felt like a kid in a candy store when this thing came out. Because if you saw that when I was in Midjourney 1.0, oh my God, it was marks with crayon that it was made by an insane person and not pretty even. And then I did the same prompt and it's this gorgeous picture of this woman. It's like with pores in her skin and everything, right? So, but I still somehow was fascinated by that because I'm one of those kids, and I know you don't celebrate Christmas necessarily, but it's this idea of opening up a present anytime, and it's all of a sudden. And as an adult, if you get a chance to do that and feel like that, that's just joy, right? Do you
Hey,
feel like that? I mean, for you, like when you talked about Lovable and your experience, you were just like a kid again, weren't you?
it was like 8 nights of Hanukkah.
There you go. There you go. Yeah. And
It
so
was
you're
7 days of vibe
nights,
coding.
7 days of vibe coding is 8 nights of Hanukkah. That's a clip we need to pull out of this because that's golden right there. Yeah, that's exactly it, right? We all want to go back to that time. In fact, I did a dark kind of piece about Snow White and at Mirror Mirror on the Wall, I called it. And this is if you follow me on social media, follow me on Facebook and LinkedIn. And I every single day do 3 of these. They are really extensive deep dives into thinking, which is kind of where we are deep diving right now, right? And the thought was, why was this old witch jealous of Snow White? And then I started to go real deep in the metaphor, right? So the first metaphor is she's looking in the mirror. Who's the fairest of them all? So she's no longer the fairest. Of course, she's older and she's not as valued in society and blah, blah, blah. So, and then the wicked witch went with a poisoned apple that put her to sleep. And that's where I want to kind of go tonight in this deep dive. Put her
To
to
sleep?
sleep, meaning, yeah.
No,
yeah,
we
she
don't want to
her-
put our audience to sleep.
well, but she was trying to kill her so that she would be the fairest of them all. And a prince
Yeah.
comes along, wakes her up, which is a problematic thing. But the other thing that was weird is that in education, we have taken away all the play and all the curiosity. And I think you should be going to school for 8 hours every day. And then you should have 2 hours of AI training. And then you should be doing fun stuff that's applied. You should be applying your knowledge instantly, right? And the Alpha School, I went there. We'll do another whole thing about Alpha School in the future. But this
Yeah.
idea that our society has been rooting out and celebrating people who work 90 hours a week without play. Now, I have been so fortunate. I've never worked a day in my life because literally every job I've taken has been so much fun. I want that for everybody. So, like, if you're going to eliminate all jobs, all the drudgery, all the Waymo drivers, and all the the Uber drivers, if you're going to eliminate it, at least give us an opportunity to do stuff like this, where we're playing with each other, and then better yet, and that's the deep dive tonight, is that loss of innocence is what she was jealous of, that she was playing with the dwarfs. Now, what were the names of all the dwarfs? Can you name all 7 dwarfs? Right? You got Sleepy, Grumpy, Sneezy, Doc. I forget the other ones.
Dopey.
Yeah, Dopey. So I started thinking, who are these people? They're your uncles and your grandpa and your grandma. So here is a child, Snow White, innocent. Snow White. She's white as a driven snow. Here are these people from Walt Disney that are drawing this character. And what they're saying is these old people have killed your curiosity and creativity. And who knows that better than an artist who had to find the time to get the discipline to go do that drawing, right? So the whole Snow White thing all of a sudden took this existential turn for me. And I started thinking, yeah, my grandpa was sleepy. He'd come home, watch the news, and then he'd fall asleep at the TV, My grandma, my mom, and my dad. And imagine that everybody in your family, like your family, Brandon, I've seen how you guys act with each other. Everybody in your family is an extension of the community. And then you get involved in the community as a way of giving back. You go to, the temple to be with others who have this like mind and this shared experience of life. That's going back to our humanity. And we've got a generation, which is the final flip over in this to the darker side. So what do you think about that so far? Are you buying my metaphor here? And do you think
Mhm.
that we've gotten worse at this or better?
Yes.
Yes. So worse and better, right? So in some ways,
I think in some areas it has been challenging, and we've found unexpected silver lining in the cloud.
right. Yeah, and that's the human survival. And actually, that's where I'm going to go. So I'm going to switch over to my PowerPoint here for a second and go to the dangerous man part of this. Now, I'm going to introduce the dangerous man, and he's going to get, actually, he's going to have a voice. I'm going to make him into an action figure. He is who I want to be. Good trouble, born to serve, crazy enough to change the world. That's the three mantras. Now, I turned 66 October 25th this month, so I have to change my name. I think I'm just going to be the dangerous man in the future. But here's a couple of dark
You could
stories.
just be
right?
dangerous man over 65.
Over 65. There you go. Okay. But I also want to make it dangerous people, right? I want to tell Claire, and I know she is, she's a dangerous woman or a dangerous person. I mean, maybe we can go dangerous people. I don't know. But I want to start a movement. And it's two things. It's a person who is a bit of a curmudgeon that looks at the world that's not right, but has the audacity to stand up and change it. So here's two stories that I want to change. The first one is, and this is for real. If you don't know Palantir, look it up. It is the NSA's data bank. They were paid to do iOS immigration. So they created an operating OS immigration. So if you in Chicago right now watching this, all those guys up there looking for the immigrants, or the not so-called immigrants, because they aren't really. They're the human beings that came here for a potential, just like you did. God, excuse me. Darn it. Have to be a dangerous man still is not going to cuss on TV because it's just not nice, right? I want Noah to be able to watch this maybe in the future when he's old enough. So they're a surveillance society. So they scoured. So at the order of Donald Trump, they then set out to get dossiers following social media of everyone who's on the rolls who are in the process of immigrating and becoming citizens, or they're just visiting. It took all of them, tracked them down to their homes, to their places of worship, to the bar that they hang out with. I am not making this up. Now, Larry Ellison, who is part of this group, the Dark Enlightenment, look that up too. This group is a group of people who believe that democracy is incompatible with the future, and they are tearing it down. So now, at the bequest of Donald Trump, Larry Ellison, and if you don't know him, look him up too, and Peter Thiel, look them both up. They're all part of this thing where they're going to have a dossier on every single human being in the United States, and probably other countries too. They already have those. The CIA does that for us, right? And so they're going to know where you are and what you're doing and what you're saying on social media. So if you say something's not nice about Donald Trump, I mean, that's just dark as heck, and I hate to take you there, but wake up, people.
And Gwen just jumped in. It's like, what did I walking into? I was just about to tell Rick to land the plane. So you're good. You came in at a good time. We're going to be switching to Lovable in just a minute. This is AITV. Welcome.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to go two more things. And so, everybody's going to kind of jailbreak it, but take all the fun away. So don't stop my Christmas by doing rude stuff like this. Just be a good person, So there's that. Scientists are now growing brains, human brains, and they're using it to drive computers. Because guess what? Your brain operates on 15 watts. That's a light bulb, folks. You know how much power it takes to open AI? And it's just now surpassing us in capability. Of course, it's much
that gives the phrase, you're not the brightest bulb, a whole new context.
It does, right? Because we are the original intelligence, the OG of intelligence. Us, human beings, have more brains and we have lived experience, so we're smarter because of lived experience. That's another story another day. Robots are planting 1,800 trees per hour. Cool. I love that story, right? So that's good. So here is what we're going to call
65. My parents were the greatest generation. They built highways, won wars, raised 5 kids on 1 paycheck. And me, I'm just trying to remember the password to my streaming service. Now I've got Gen Z kids. You ever get that look from them? They do this thing.
Gen Z, a stare and a smell as deep as a black hole with no soul. Spray it on, get the stare, and never have children.
So research says 54% of Gen Z reports intense anxiety. What do you think about that?
Okay. So this is where we go a little bit dark, but I'm going to get you the bright spot. So just give me a second, okay? So this is real. So I walked into my class the other day and I said, in 25 years of teaching, something's different. For the last year or so, since COVID, right? We get back in the classroom, and this is a generation that was raised on iPads. as a pacifier. So you as adults want to go do something, and so you kind of put it off, right? I'm checking the time here, 9 o'clock. Okay, so I got 10 more minutes. That's all I need. So I thought about them, and why is that stare there? Because the world is so complex. Now, the cost of living for them is 300 times their salary is what a house costs, right? So you know this, especially if you're on a fixed income. The cost of my house went up by just in insurance and taxes. It's $7,000 a year for insurance, and anyway, it went up 10 times in 7 years. And it's so I am making less money by 25% than the day that I started 25 years ago at Broward College, because of the cost of living went up 78%, and I only got a 14% raise. Anyway, so they don't want to have children. So literally anxiety is at all-time absolute high. 85% of Gen Zers just have existential crisis. They're living with their parents because they can't do anything else. They can't have children because who would want to bring a child into this world? My own children who were positive before COVID, my daughter wanted to have 7 children, live up in the mountains and stuff. I'm like, oh, okay, that's great. I'll be a grandpa. All of a sudden said no. In fact, I talked to her just recently, and she said, I just can't, not in this world. So they've given up. And so then I found, remember this picture? It's a very, very famous picture. Now I'm having but it was the Vietnam War. So Marshall McCullen, not Marshall McCullen, David McCullen. He incredible photographer. This is the Vietnam War. Now imagine that you went to war and you have decimated your entire thing. PTSD is rampant. I think what this generation is having is PTSD. There's an overload of information, of both excitement and there's a social media echo chamber. And instead of going to the high school prom, they spent their time in COVID lockdown. And I've had students talk to me and say, I don't get hugged by my parents. I ask them, what's your home life like? They don't get hugs. They don't get kisses. Because what? During COVID, your parent went off to work and came back, potentially could infect you with COVID. So they stopped touching. A human being without human touch is not human. So this scared the hell out of me. And I noticed that I told a student one time that wasn't attending the class that you're going to fail. And he just looked at me, okay. And he gave me this blank stare that you kind of see here. So it's really disturbing to me. And then in this last year, as I've been talking about AI and talking about, hey, the future of your jobs ain't what it used to be, so you better learn this AI. And I got a lot of pushback because, interestingly enough, graphic designers anyway, all of my students are the generation that were drawing a lot because they were inside. So they got to do all the play with their family, but their family couldn't touch them. So it was this kind of weird thing. And then they get in social media and they get in an echo chamber, and then they get told that they're ugly and they're fat and they're everything else. And then social media like Facebook kind of, rebrands the whole thing. So, but here's the bright spot. So in the last 3 weeks, students keep staying after. They want to learn about AI and how can I do this, and they play with me. So I'm loving it because it's like all of a sudden they're doing their jobs better, and I'm super severely. I always demonstrate, and I have this one rule: when you're done, I want you to look at me in the face, and I've had them do this live. Do you feel this is signature worthy? And what they have to say is, I feel like I made this. I put my effort, blood, sweat, and tears into it, and I feel like I own it. And I have made, and I have demonstrated to them what it looks like when you don't have the right. So generate a picture for my illustration in class. Yeah, no, that's, so I did it in front of the students to show them what it looked like. And I told them, I felt bad. What do you feel? So every assignment, we have this conversation. Is it signature worthy? And then we go to the nuance of what the fine tuning is. But here's the kind of thing.
Yeah. And Gwen pointed out in the comments too that the senior population is going through that too. The lack of emotional availability and hugs. It's where I think the robots are going to come in. You have your emotionally available robot give you a hug and pat on the back and say, get back out there, champ.
But here's the good part. So let's take
there.
Yeah, let's take the Vietnam moment. Let's go back a little bit further. Let's go back to World War II. Do you know what happened to all those shell-shocked men that came back and they lost all their buddies? If you look at World War One, Tolkien wrote Lord of the Rings because he lost. He was an ambulance driver, and all of his buddies died. Samwise Gamgee was written about the humanity of not being able to save them, and that you were there to put the ring in Mount Doom. So when you get there, that's what comes out of war. So when we get to the bottom as a human being, that's where I think this man on the right, and this J is just something I conjured in Sora, and I'm just doing it as a demonstration of what the stare looks like. This is a real thing. It's a clinical, psychological. In fact, Dr. Jacobs, I'd love to have you go do a deep dive and come back what the physician's information is. But literally, it is a existential threat that you basically are raised on an iPad. You then have no experience of human touch, and community is gone. So religion is something that's gone away. But the conversation I started having was, when I got real, they're super smart because they've been raised on all the information they can get their hands on. And these are very curious people because they're graphic designers, right? They're curious about how to draw better pictures. And so they go out and they find it, and they have the agency and the tools to do it. Even a Google search wasn't available to my generation. I had to go to the library to check out a book to do my work. But anyway, to land the plane in this idea, out of darkness rises the phoenix. And I started having conversations where they said to me, I want to do this completely by hand. They wanted to actually learn how to hand draw a hand or a person, right? Very difficult to do. But they spent the extra time. They spent 40, 50 hours. And I said, well, you could just conjure that up in AI. And they said, no, because I want the friction. So the conversations I've been having is that these inside of them are the most human people I've ever seen. And guess what? You know what AI is? It's a disembodied human. It is all knowledge of everything we've ever done in humanity, but it has not experienced the first kiss or the last goodbye. And here's where I think there's hope in the hearts and souls of these beautiful young people in my class, is that they right now are realizing that they're facing a future where they might not have a job, but they want purpose. They might, they don't want to cheat. They really don't. So quit telling them they're cheating, because then they want to because you said they can't, right? Tell them that there's hope, and I would love it. I will give you extra credit if you do it with a pen and pencil. And then all of a sudden they brightened up. And I gave them giant projects like, Rescue Connect, Care app for disabilities. And I give them big projects like Cure Homelessness. And they make a food truck that feeds people during the day. And you could buy food for one or food for all. And so I give these projects that are so monumentally difficult, and I get them to solve it. Right now, we're working on an app called Imagination. It is a duplicate twin of Earth. And it's going to be run by an AI who basically takes everybody who has time, money, and energy to donate. So you sign up with an app that we're building, and you say, I've got 20 hours. And they said, we need people in Costa Rica because there's a hurricane that's went through. So you sign up for it, you go do it, and you volunteer. And the Peace Corps, everybody who needs something to get solved in the world, you aggregate in. And then the AI then takes all the people's, all the time, all the money, and disciplines, and sorts it out. So you don't have three companies that are working toward Ronald McDonald House and children. You've got them coordinated efforts, everybody. So literally, to join Imagination and get a passport is to say, I am willing to make a difference in the world and be a better version of myself by donating to the greater good. My time, my money, my efforts. And then we'll sort it out. And the app is, how do we get you on mission? So that's what we're doing. That's what my students are doing. If you give them something like that, then their humanity is like, put this ring in Mount Doom. And I, as an educator, can just watch, and I'll put impediments in their way, and I'll say, this isn't good enough. And then they're going to be a better version of themselves because they have something and the ability to change the world. Here's to the crazy ones, as Steve Jobs would say, because they don't know they can't change the world. This generation that gives Gen Z stares right now is just the beach ball on a computer thinking about how they're going to do it. So to land the plane, this generation gives me hope. And I hope that you see it. And I hope that you privilege them instead of saying, as a grumpy old man would, this new generation, they don't know what they're doing. They got no work ethic. They don't want to do anything. Stop, hold their hand, maybe give them a hug because they probably need it. They've been through hell and back. They've been through a war zone that you can't even imagine, of social consciousness, of not having relationships, real ones, fake friends, in a January 6th environment where it's toppling down all things that you trusted and you had faith in your parents, but they're divorced. They've been through hell and back. They are the victims of a war of our making. But I believe that they are the spark. They are the star dust that will make starlight happen. If you give them a North Star to point at, this is a generation that has all the power that led to the greatest generation on earth and made America the greatest country on earth. And we're now falling, and it's time to pass the torch on to others. So that's it for the Dangerous Man tonight.
Yeah, powerful words, and a powerful sermon. Thank you for sharing so openly.
Yeah, I'm sorry to take so long, and I know we're a little bit over.
No,
thank
that's
you for
okay.
the
We'll catch
comments.
up. The
Glenn,
nice
I
thing
wanna
is
have
with
you on
Lovable,
just
we can code a website in like 4 minutes now, so we're good.
okay, let's do it.
And
We
so
can skip the tool time music and just go right into it because I know we're running long.
yeah, no worries. So I'm gonna knock your screen off here, and then I'm gonna add my screen because I am taking over tool time today, because what I've been doing for the past couple of weeks is I've been working with Lovable. And if you don't know what Lovable is, we're going to talk to you all about that. And so Lovable is a web app building program. And they had a challenge in concert with Gemini. So Gemini and Nano Banana basically said, you can use our stuff inside of Lovable for free for a week. And Lovable said, we're going to have a contest, and each day we're going to give you a theme. So like one of the themes was Lovable for X. Do what Lovable did for website building for another industry. Another one was Nano Banana. And so each day they brought out a different theme. And so the challenge was build 7 apps in 7 days. And so I did. I built 7 apps in 7 days. I think the longest I spent on one was 3 hours. Most of them were less than that. I would say anywhere from, we're talking 1 to 3 hour commitment per night. And I built 7 apps in 7 days. And I was really pleased with what the end results were. We're going to talk about it because at the end of the day, these apps probably aren't going to change the world. Most of them were just fun little experiments, but there's a couple of out there that fell out of this project that had been bucket list web projects that I had on my to-do list for weeks and months. And so what we're going to do is we're going to take that and we're going to start that wisp of an idea, and we're going to get an MVP out there into the world. This is not about building the best web app available. It's about starting. And it's about getting stuff out there and getting it in a way that is demonstrable, that solves a problem. And then if you can get it to that level and tell a few people about it, it only takes one right person to signal boost that to their world. And maybe it's you. Maybe you're the one that's watching it now. It's going to take one of these ideas and either remix one of my ideas and take it and do something completely your own, or signal boost it to the right people so it can help more and more people. But before we do that, we're going to take a step back. And forgiveness, we were running late today. I did not have time to make these slides as cool as Rick does with Manus. Rick uses Manus to professionally polish all of the slides that you see on our show. And but this is a Manus generated. So I wrote a blog post about how I built the 7 apps in 7 days, and I gave it that blog post. I said, make me a presentation for this. And in about 5 minutes, I had this presentation, which is really, impressive in and of its own right. The fact that I could just have a presentation from a blog post.
Yeah, and I've done it with Perplexity now, and Gemini all can actually, and ChatGPT can make PowerPoint, but they suck, I gotta say. Even
Yeah.
Microsoft PowerPoint, they make the application. You think they would get it tweaked in, but using this is kind of cool that you can actually make really good ones. So it generated the
Yeah.
image for you as well.
Yep. Yep. Generated the image.
Very
So,
cool.
what is vibe coding for those of you who aren't in? It's a term that kind of dropped onto the tech space about a year ago. And it's basically English as a programming language. So you're describing what you want in natural language, and then the computer and the agents and the code is just writing itself. So the AI is building it for you in real time. And
Right.
it's not just code, it's not just no code, it's conversational code. So engineers are still very much needed. I work for a software development firm full time, and
Yeah.
we have this conversation every day around the virtual water cooler in our Slack space that you can get yourself into a lot of trouble if you don't know what you're doing with some of these tools if you're trying to build something at scale. And so that's where the engineers that know how to translate the world of natural language into actual computer code and make sure it's secure and make sure it's functioning properly. That's still an air gap in the system that AI hasn't closed and might never close, because there's always going to be room for bad actors that you always have to guard against. But this does democratize creativity without diluting that craftsmanship. So it does give anybody, and the Lovable's campaign was built where they gave a kid a laptop and said, make a website. So it's really
Oh yeah.
about democratizing access.
And forget, and it was the guy's son, right? And it was really
Yes.
cute because he did it. And it's like, I can't wait to know what codes something up. Have you sat with him and made a game or anything yet?
Not yet. No, we haven't gotten that far. I've made games for them that they've played, but I have not done. I've not had him invent his own game yet.
Right.
But we're getting there. We're still
Yeah,
working
yeah,
through
yeah.
Pseudo-Songs.
Yeah,
But
we're talking
one
about
thing
Suno
that's
for Halloween,
really
maybe.
Yeah, one thing that is that I see a lot of that gets confusing because of the terminology is progressive web versus native apps. So everyone hears, oh, you can build web apps. Oh, like you put on an iPhone or an Android device in Google Play Store and the Apple Store. This is a completely different animal. So to do those, there are applications like Rourke or Android Fire based Studio that can do those native to those platform apps. But Lovable has this new category called progressive web apps. So they're built on the web. They run in your browser, but you can do things like pin them to your home screen. They update in real time. You don't have to have the app update from the store. You can use them offline. But the development time comes way down from weeks and months to hours and days. And you don't have to go through the Apple paywall or the Google Play Store to
So
get noticed. You could just
let me
put it
see
out there.
if I get this. So they have a server. So if I say I want to vibe code a website, I could actually create one, and it goes on their server so I can play with it and see if it works. And then I can download the code and actually put it somewhere else. I've done that with Manus and PowerPoint the same way.
Yep.
And then what
But
you're talking about
Lovable
is
has their own back end.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. And so, building with AI, and we talked about this a little bit earlier in the show. My creative process is I start with that conversation with ChatGPT to vet ideas, because it's chatting with all of humanity and holding a mirror up against the general user. We used to say, don't be a focus group of one. I'm building something that I like, but I don't know if anybody else is going to like it. Well, now I can just ask ChatGPT, based on what you know about humans, would humans like this? Yes or no? And it can give you some real honest feedback if you train it to give you feedback. If you ask for that feedback, how can I improve this? How can I make this wisp of an idea? Here's what I'm thinking about. Here's the prompt that Lovable gave me. Here's an idea starter. It is flint and a piece of twig, and you got to figure out how to start a fire with it. And so
Okay.
to be able to do that, I need to talk, and I maybe talk through either through voice or chatting and texting, talk for 15, 20 minutes. And usually what I'll get to is a point where I'll say, give me 10 ideas, and then I'll whittle that down. And this is where the human creativity comes back in, because I'm not just AI slopping this out. You have to curate the idea. You have to whittle it down. Okay, of these 10, give me these 5, but hone them in. And of those 5, stack rank these 3. And of these 3, let's take this one and compare it. And I like this idea, but I don't like this element. And iterating until you get an idea. They're like, man, I could really use something like that in my life. Let's
Right?
build it. And then all you have to do is give ChatGPT permission, because ChatGPT knows Lovable exists. It has access to the internet, and it knows how to write a prompt to build a Lovable website.
Yeah, I want to make the big picture really visible. So we started with OpenAI saying we can connect ChatGPT to every app. Now it can connect to an app like this, which has its own agent farm. And now
Yep.
things start to happen. And then when you've got the trusted apps you're already using, it goes and checks all your email and everything. And then it's arranging the plane flights because it's based upon what your preferences are. And your 10 friends that you've got in a database, they like sushi and they like to eat at this restaurant. And, so yeah, vibe coding, you're vibe living, aren't you? Really?
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
if you get good at it, and it's still early
It is
days.
amplifying your creativity. It is really
Right.
amplifying your creativity.
Okay. That's what we're about.
So let's talk about the actual technology that's going behind this. The Lovable Cloud, which was their big launch, is prior to this. If you wanted to do anything with storing data or accessing things securely, you had to go to a company called Supabase, which they partnered with. And you had to set everything up, and it was really highly technical. I did a whole class on it, by which I mean I asked ChatGPT to explain it to me like I was 5.
The whole class,
And
yeah. That's actually
I
say
had
that's
done my homework on this, but Lovable
Right.
said, you know what, for the average vibe coder, that's still too high of a barrier. That's still too much to
Yeah.
expect of our average consumer that just wants to just think a website into existence. And so what they started doing was they started saying, we're going to give you storage credits. We're going to do all the back end lifting for you. And even the
Wow.
free users, you can prompt 5 per day or 30 per month. You get 30 prompts per month, which means you can talk to Lovable 30 times a month or once a day.
Wow.
You can do 5 a day, but if you use them, you get like 6 days worth, a week's worth of free prompts if you use them all.
So you can test it out and see if it's
you can test it out for free and stick one toe in the water and see how far you can get. You're probably not going to build an entire website, although the last one I'm very impressed. I did it in 4 prompts because I wanted to prove to myself that it could be
I
done.
can do
We'll
it
talk
in
about that
3.
in a little bit.
It's gonna be named
Well, it
that
was
too,
technically 1, but then I had to make a couple of tweaks. But
okay. But did you use ChatGPT to
the
make the prompt?
I
Are you
did. I
doing
did
that
use
for the front end?
ChatGPT to make the prompt.
Okay. There you go.
But building a website in 1 prompt is still impressive.
Yes, it is.
And
Indeed.
so what they'll do is, if you want to use the backend, not every website has to use the backend. So if you just have a brochure site, it's a site for your small business, and you just have your contact information up there and like your hours of operation, your About Us page. You don't need a backend for that. What you do need a backend for is if you need to store stuff, if you need to do a fitness tracker where you're tracking over time what the calorie count or what the average runtime was. Doing anything in the back end where you're tying that data to a user, you need storage. And so they're giving you this.
It's storing, let's say, your website for how long? What's the expiration date? I mean, I guess at a certain point you can take it down and then deploy it on your own server on Wix or something like that.
If you wanted to, you could. If you wanted to take it and you didn't want to give Lovable the keys to the castle, you could absolutely export this to GitHub, download it, take it off into a GoDaddy server or your own server. However you wanted to do it, you could take it wherever you want. But Lovable is basically saying, we believe the future of this is just, we're going to host it for you for free. And you can publish as much as you want. They haven't capped that yet. And I believe that there will always be that model for the freemium experience, because they do have users that are paying $50, $100, $200 a month to use their service. They've grown. They were 100 million run rate revenue very quickly because in less than a year, because they understand that there's a market for people who want to just stick one toe in the water, and there's a market for people who want to dive head first into creating.
Now you as an amateur can get there. So the whole world in the 1980s and on through was SaaS, software as service. So they're actually, you're making the software. So those people are, so the 77,000 people that got laid off last week are those coders that built this, oddly enough. As the companies become more efficient, And now it's
Lovable
democratizing it down
didn't lay
to
off people.
no. Oh no, but Microsoft did, and so did
Yes.
everybody else, pretty much.
Yeah.
All the big
Yeah,
companies.
and so the idea is that you can take an idea to app in seconds. And so what they're doing is they're giving you a little bit of storage. So if you want to build the next MyFitnessPal and have thousands of users and stuff,
Yeah.
you're going to have more data than their little free bucket of credits will allow for. But for the average user that's just testing the water, that's getting a minimally viable product, which is just a proof of concept, that $25 is going to be more than enough that you need to use something for your own personal use, to explore, to be the hobbyist, to submit it for a contest, or to
be an
submit it
entrepreneur.
or an entrepreneur, to submit it to a
Yeah.
venture capitalist and say, hey, I've got something here. I really want to go with it. Before, to get a proof of concept, you would have to hire a developer, pay thousands of dollars. Now it's just, you just got that. And so with the AI credits involved, they're also giving you $1, one whole dollar of AI credits. And you think, okay, what the heck does $1 get me? Well, thanks to GPT and Gemini Flash 2.5, you could actually do quite a lot of testing for $1. So you
So
could
the price of
generate
image
text,
generation is coming way down, and it's exponentially getting. It's almost pennies right now, or tenths of pennies, right?
Yeah,
So let's see what
absolutely.
you did with this. So how did you apply all?
Yeah,
this?
and you can the last point here is you can always add more credits, right? So if you want to buy more, you don't have to go all in. You could just buy $5 worth of Gemini credits.
So if your nutrition app is working for you, you start your business, you can at least see if you can do it or not, and then you go hire pros to finish it off, perhaps, or deploy it. But yeah, wow, okay.
Yep.
That's
So
empowering.
so I built 7 apps. The first one was Success Stacker. It was a habit tracking app that visualized momentum and gamifies personal growth. So it makes daily wins feel achievable rather than punishing. So if you go to success-stacker.com right now, and we'll put these links in the show notes, you can actually sign up for a free account and start tracking your wins. And so just something little like that for me to be able to track my successes and say, okay, I want to know what I'm doing. I'm the type of person that will write something on my to-do list that I already did just so I could have the dopamine hit of crossing it off. Now I can have that in digital form.
Yeah.
So my award-winning one, the pet diary decoder, which Rick, you actually played with a little bit, was AI generated diary entries from your pet. So what you can do is you can go to the website there, and I'm going to switch over because I love seeing this. This is of your pet's secret diary. It's a Nana Banana image of the cat and the dog. And you upload your image and you give it your pet's name and a
I forgot. Okay.
platform or a style, and then you generate a diary image. So here's something that somebody did. I don't know this person. This is somebody who made a diary entry for emoji.
Okay.
And so what it does is it analyzes the image. So here's an image that somebody gave it, and it said, I want a playful style. And it says, human handshakes are the best. Woohoo, look at me, all brave and standing tall. My human's hand is super comfy to hold, and I think they love my little front teeth showing. So it generates this whole diary entry for the pet. And,
for my
is
cat
it
right
going to
now
change the world?
This was so beautiful. No, it's beautiful. It really, so my roommate has a cat. His name's Shadow, and he's black. So I uploaded the picture, and it made the most beautiful story about Shadow's life. That, oh my God, that really is award winning, and definitely if you haven't tried it, you should. If you've got a pet, it's a really beautiful app. Now the last one I'm kind of curious about. Go ahead.
Yeah, so this was the one that my one ask for you, if you've stuck around to the show this long, we're an hour and a half in, or if you're watching this back on demand, this is something that I really want your help promoting. And so if we go to imanav.com, IMMINAV.com, I have some friends in the immigration space, and they said, we don't have a knowledge problem, we have a curation problem. And so we don't have a centralized repository that is going to tell us where we can go to get stuff. So I built this in a day, and it's a know your rights navigator for immigration, immigrants and advocates to get reliable information about your rights. And so it has this chat box here that you can either write your question, or you can just speak your question into existence. Like, I want to say, how can I prepare my family? And I don't think it, and it's going to give me a response. And so it's going to come up over here, name a caregiver, store IDs, records, memorize keys. But if I want to hear back, I've connected it to 11 labs.
Name a
so I can actually
caregiver.
listen to it.
Store IDs and records in one safe place. Memorize key numbers.
And I can do that in English, or I can do the whole thing in Spanish. And so, I really wanted to do something that had the potential to be impactful on the immigration space.
Oh my God, because I have made an app 4 years ago called Hello USA. And I'm going to share it after you're done. Good. So keep going. But I want to land the plane at the end. Come back to me because I've got something to share.
Yeah. So we're going to switch back to, so after that, I needed to do something fun. And this is my favorite one that I built, Commuter Trail. So if you've ever played Oregon Trail, we took that concept and I'm trying to get it up here.
That's what she said.
And turned it into a 2025 Survivor game where you're trying to survive the commuter trail. And so we have Brandon and Rick here. And what it's going to do is it's going to assign me, the Slack checker, and Rick is the backseat driver. No surprises there. And so it uses AI to craft the story. All right, buckle up, Buttercup, because it's time for another adrenaline-pumping, existential, dread-inducing commute. And so you play this game and you have to figure out, do I take the train? Do I drive the highway? Or do I try to forge the river? And so I'm forging the underpass, and I made it pretty far. I jumped 10 miles ahead by taking a shortcut.
Oh, that's awesome.
And so it's fun. And then the other one that I made that I really like is the Treat Yourself wheel, with homage to Parks and Rec for the Treat Yourself Day. We can take it for a quick spin. We're celebrating 2 months of AITV. And I'm going to say start the spin, and it's going to spin the wheel and tell me what I can do to reward myself. So I can take a 15-minute break. So maybe later after AI Learning Lab. And so all of these little projects, the one that they're fun, they're informative, they're helpful. Right. And I've done these in 1-2 hour sprints. I mean, do you realize how long it would have taken to understand the code and the physics of spinning a wheel like that in the before times?
Coders got to feel like painters during the 1800s, and photography comes along and like, boom, there it is.
Yep.
Oh, I love that.
I also did, the one I did that was the one shot prompt was hack of the day. And so let me go back.
Can you show us the interface too, and how you?
Yeah.
Like when you actually do it. I don't know if there's something we can get done tonight, but I think what we'll do is we'll post this as a tool time, and we'll add on to the end of it. In fact, Hello USA, I think we should build it and make a whole thing about it.
Yeah. So here's hack of the day. So it says, give me a clever hack that uses AI. And let's say I want to do something witty, and I'm going to generate, and what it's doing is it's using Gemini to generate a brand new image. So let's see, film yourself making a silly face, use AI deepfake tool to swap your face with a celebrities on a random movie clip. You'll create an instant personalized comedic gold for cheering up friends or just a good laugh. And so what it's doing is every time anybody in the world goes to this website and generates a hack, it's saving it. So for all of the ones that people have used while I put this out on Twitter, I now have a repository, and what it does is it makes sure every hack is unique. So you've got an archive of ingenuity.
Could you make
and then
an app that made Sora prompts, or make one that tells dad jokes? I mean,
You could.
basically. Oh my God, that'd be great. In fact, I think we should demonstrate making a dad joke one. Gas station sushi.
And so the last one that I did that was my, other than Iminav, the last one that I did that was
Right.
my favorite, just because I love this image, is Bridge Me. So this is
wow.
a don't burn your bridge. And what this does is it turns conflict into conversation. And so you have a choice. You could do, before I send
Wow.
something, help me tone shift it. After I send it, how do I unscrew it up? Or if I'm in the middle of a conversation, I can go to live mode and I can say, okay, my boss is mad at me because this demo is taking too long. And they said it's time to land the plane. And I don't know what that means. So I'm going to ask AI, and it says, Bridget, now it says, understand the issue. Okay, Rick, I understand the urgency to get this demo finalized. I'm actively working to wrap it up, the remaining elements efficiently, while ensuring everything is robust and ready for a successful presentation. I'll provide an update for you by
Touche.
on the estimated time of completion. So, these are, you have the potential, now, so the biggest challenge that I have is marketability, is getting the word out. Like, I can put it out in my social circles, but until somebody picks it up or I pay to advertise for one of these, it's very hard to get exposure to these.
Is there a repository of people doing these? Does Lovable was Lovable the sponsor of this project?
They were, Lovable and Gemini co-partnered.
Did they pay you?
And so they have a website where you can see what people have shipped with Lovable. I haven't had a chance to go back and put these there, but they've got 100,000 community members on Slack. They've maxed out Discord.
Wow.
They are growing fast. But real quick, the lessons learned is that you can start with small ideas and you iterate before building. You have to be explicit with descriptions. You make one change at a time. Focus on the aesthetics, don't accept whatever bland output it gives you, and then iterate and share it. I love this line that Manus came up, that I didn't come up with. It doesn't punish imperfection. And so that's really critical as you're starting out. You're like, I'm not a vibe coder. I'm not a programmer. I'm not a website designer. Try lovable.dev, join the community, connect on Discord. The future of software is human creativity amplified by AI. So if we come back in here, just to give us a thought, just to show you how quickly we can move to something, this is lovable.dev, and say, I'm cutting this. Let's do this the right way. Let's go over to ChatGPT and say, I am building a new, I was going to do this. I'm building a new website to align with a podcast called AITV Starship. This site will be the companion to the podcast for show notes. Give me a lovable prompt for this website.
Do you have our logo you could upload?
And thanks. Well, we're going to get there. So we're going to start. We'll see what AI comes up with, and then I've got a hack for that too. So now it's writing my Lovable prompt, and I'm not even going to read this. I'm just going to take this and carbon copy it.
I see it already. NASA meets Star Trek.
So it's going to give me this
Easter
prompt, and now I'm going to switch over to my tab. I'm just going to blind paste this in, and with the instructions and everything, I don't care. And now it's already spinning up a preview. So it's working in the background. And I'm going to enable the notifications for Lovable so it can tell you know when it's done, but it's thinking. It thought for 13 seconds. It's transitioned it into something that it can understand, and it says, let me build the digital Starship command center. So it's already taking things that we might use on a future episode and taking it a step further. Now what it's going to ask me to do here is it's going to ask me to enable Lovable Cloud. that's going to get me into the back end,
Right.
because we could, use AI on
Before
this
it
back
charges
end and
you.
stuff.
Yeah.
But what I'm going to do, and by the way, Gemini is free through Monday, October 13th. So if you want to try this out, you can use unlimited AI credits inside of Lovable for free. You can generate
Okay.
images from Nano Banana. You can do
Wow.
prompts, and so you can see it's still thinking here. It's editing. This is something that would have taken me and Rick probably without AI, weeks to do. We'd have to go
Yeah,
through
I
designs. We'd
wouldn't
have
do
to
it.
write
I don't have that
copy.
much
We'd have
time.
to.
I'm
Yeah,
old.
exactly. And then it has to
I
be
got
mobile
5 years.
friendly and make sure it does all this. Now, I haven't given it our website. I haven't given it like the YouTube channel. I haven't given it the logo. So this is going to be a purely off the cuff response,
Yeah. So, well, what's
based
kind of
on
cool
what it
about that
knows.
is it goes back to first principles. So we may have gotten so down the rabbit hole. I like to go back and start over again just to see. There's many things about first principles thinking that's really important. Even redoing it, iterating, that's a great thing. But in context, if you loaded up all the context, everything we ever done, including all the transcripts, then it could make something seriously that would be functional and work to get our workflow going, or suggest where we might use these tools and how. Which is my favorite prompt of all time is this: what have I not thought about that would make me better at what I'm trying to do? And tell me why that would be effective and show me how to do it. That's always my
Yeah.
last prompt, no matter what am I doing in life. Right. So that's a golden ticket right there. And this is cool. How long do you think it will take?
Probably just a few more seconds. So it's editing a contact page for us now, which is great. Because we want guests. If you want to be a guest on the show, please feel free. And it's just putting the finishing touches on this, and you can see, if you see exactly what it's doing, you can see the entire history. So it's generating images, it's thinking, it's editing. My dog's eating the newspaper. It's great. Yeah.
Well, I was going to offer to show you what Manus looks like. And what I just
here we go. Here we go. Page
there you
built
go, already.
Stand by. This is the world premiere of our new website. And if I come over
then you
here,
just click on it and then you're there.
And
wow,
without even thinking,
oh my goodness.
Welcome aboard the Starship, your AI powered podcast to the frontier of artificial intelligence, one episode at a time. I love the color scheme. It came up with a logo. It got the rocket. We've got our episodes. No,
we're doing mission
log. Exactly. So for all our show notes, and so some of this is Greeking, some of this is made up, right? Like we've done 42 episodes, but
wait
it's
a minute.
placeholder text.
I just had a great thought. Could you copy and paste the YouTube link to this, to the episodes, and have it populate with real content?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. You could join the crew, contact us, mission logs, and now watch this. So AIStarshipCommand.lovable.com. If you pump that in, I'm publishing it right now. And what they're doing is they do a free security review on every website to make sure you're not.
So Jeannie
you're not
had
breaking
2
anything.
questions. Yeah, Jeannie had 2 questions about security and this, which I think we're kind of answering, but there's a lot more to talk about because that's a pretty difficult subject for a lot of reasons. But the other part that's really cool is she's asking about did it pick the color palette? It actually did, based on what your theology was when you asked the question. So if you ask smart questions,
and so now
it knows what
this
a graphic designer
website
would do.
Granted, it's janky and it's hallucinated episodes that we didn't do, but AITV-Starship-Command.lovable.app is live out on the internet for the world. My dog is very excited about it. And the thing is, you could even, like, we're going to register a domain. You could actually link a domain right in Lovable right to this website. So that's Lovable.
Wow. Okay. Oh my goodness. And I'm ready to make that go live. And that's our new website. We got to have a website. So, and I love the idea that we have people going on missions with us. So we were talking about Saturday workshops. In fact, if you guys want to give us a call and say, so what we'll do is like 4 hours on a Saturday or whatever day that we kind of end up doing it. I'm doing it with our friend from Curious Refuge. He's agreed to do just video editors. Everybody gang up on a Saturday, You pay $20 for admission, and we just make each other's movies together. And you loan each other credits, and we run stuff, and we learn together. Because like what you just showed me, Lovable has a different methodology than Manus. And in fact, I'm going to share real quickly my Manus workflow. So here's a project that I just finished. So I do a lot of PowerPoint presentations, but this is the history of AI. And so I had it do a whole thing. So you could take a look at, this is the results of it. And then I can close down this window. So it packaged the final files and I downloaded it. But here's AlphaFold, Reshapes Biology. So these are actually the slides based upon a very long conversation. And then I just download the entire production right here as a PowerPoint, PDF, Google Slides, save it to OneDrive, and save it to my Google Drive. So right now, here's 30 slides, but I do this every day. So I load up every morning if I'm working on some other subject. Let me just go back to Manus itself. So this is one project in Manus, and I can go back anytime I want and go back and take a look at.
It's manus.lm if you're interested.
I am.
Oh, I am. I'm sorry.
I am. Yeah. So here's imagination.
Manus.im.
So this is the whole thing. So I can view all the tasks in the job that it's done. And so it gives me the documents, the images show up here. That's one I'm still working on. But I literally have done hundreds of these. Then sometimes I just wanted to make images. So it'll make a couple of hundred images. So this was about representing logical fallacies. So the straw man fallacy. So I actually had it generate a whole slide deck of this. And then here's the final one, I think. And then when we go take a look at the contents, here's all of the files, the dependencies, each slide, each JPEG, anchoring bias. So, and I ran this a couple dozen times, but I can look at, the images it made, and then I can have it put it into a website. So right now, if I wanted to, it's created a PowerPoint presentation I could download that's in here, right down here, and all of it's put into a zip file. So you're just basically going through and asking it for I've converted logical files. So you can see what it's done, what it did. So thou shalt not commit logical fallacy is the sort of thing of it. And it's a guide to understanding this. And there's all the files in it. So every subject I do, I start in ChatGPT and I say, make me a bunch of prompts and break it down. So ChatGPT could do this, but it just does a horrible job. And here I walk away an hour. So I literally go copy and paste. So here's Adobe Firefly companion guide. So what are the features of the new Firefly? So I had it research everything about Firefly so I can have this be a handout for my notes. And then to add to this, on what I'm also working with all the time is Comet. So what Comet is it can be my companion on the side. So I can go to this YouTube place. I can pull up my assistant, Comet. So it can say, I'm watching this video right here, summarize the video in the text. And it's an AI, it's Perplexity built in. Page reviewing as a results from different ones. I want it to take a look at this one. And then I'll say here, give me the top 5 things about this particular YouTube video I'm watching right now, Sora 2 for full tutorial, that I can use in a class about how to use Sora. What are the 5 most outstanding things? And give it to me in a numbered list and organized and structured so I can hand it to them and they can go out and do assignments. Bingo. And then it does what everything you can do in the full operational stance in Perplexity. So it actually reads all the transcripts and then it makes up these text to video generation and then creating a cameo and all this kind of stuff. And then I can go into this mode where it's now an entire Perplexity, where I can go through and then turn this into a page if I want to. So we're kind of landing the plane, but so Comet is a Chrome browser that has Perplexity attached to it that can actually activate and work with your screen interactively. So not only to just summarize,
you're using Comet to activate Perplexity to edit your stuff in Manus. Wow.
Yes, right. It's full circle. So you could have done what you just did. So I just bring up Lovable on my left side and put Perplexity on the right side, and it could generate what ChatGPT did, or put ChatGPT here and then have it so it can go from tab to tab. You tell it copy from tab 1 to tab 2 to tab 3 to tab 4. So I've done all of these ideogram things by just telling it, here's a copy and paste from ChatGPT of how to make these Jules Verne pictures that I wanted. And then it just goes and puts the prompts in. So it'll do 20 and I walk away, and it's agentically putting in the prompt right in the field and then making the image.
So I think if we could take anything away from today's episode, it's you can build anything and not believe anything.
That's a good way to land the plane. Well, thank you, Brandon. It's been a wild, wonderful week again. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you as a person, and I'm really glad to hear that the people listening today, tell your friends. Jeannie mentioned that she now understands her daughter, and I think that's the most beautiful gift and statement that I've ever heard about that's why we're here. If you understand something, if you know how to do something, if you're in a dark place and you want to come hang out with us wild and crazy guys on AI Starship TV, that's where we are, and that's what we are, in service to the world to make it more beautiful. Thank you, Brandon, for being my partner in this journey. Thank you for everybody who watched. Tell your friends, like and subscribe, and come back soon, because we're doing it every week, Thursday nights, live, or go do a deep dive and follow along as we develop all of this. And then real soon, we'll talk about workshops that we'll be doing. Brandon, I'd love to actually do a workshop with my students. So the app I didn't get a chance to show, we'll talk about next time, is called Hello USA. And it's for immigrants who are partnering immigrants with people who have successfully navigated so that they become their sponsors. And then the AI teaches them Spanish and goes through all the entire process. And my hope is, wouldn't it be nice if the government told you where you are in the queue and how to study for the test, but this AI privileged you with all that information, finding a house, finding school for your kids. How do I know what to do? And it tells you in Spanish or in German or whatever language you're coming from.
I mean, they have to reopen the government first.
Well, you know what?
I'm the AI guy. Rick McCauley launching news so fresh.
All right, say good night, Rick.
Peace and love, everybody. Namaste.
Deep dives coming, lighten up your days. 2 times shows you how we make it shine. Building futures with AI, one step at a time. Yo, Rick, slow down. I'm Brandon, the producer. Save some tools for me. Shout out. I'm here bringing high-tech comic energy. AITV Starship. News, deep dives, and creation. AITV Starship. Learn.